Good late Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd and hope you had a wonderful work day across the area as folks get ready to kind of split and head home for their Wednesday evening plans, whether it be church, outdoor plans, whatever. Most of the rain has stayed to our east. Today's forecast made possible by United Way of Northeast Louisiana and their 211 initiative. Flood damage, no power. Reach out to 211 to find resources for cleanup, repairs, and recovery support. Joining you just a half hour early, Cubs have about 6 more outs to play with before they have to play again tomorrow afternoon. And it was kind of frustrating to sit there and watch that. Hadn't scored yet. I don't think they're going to score today. Could have just blindfolded them at this point, sent them up there swinging. Anyway, let's take a look at the satellite, and the afternoon cloud cover has made its presence felt again across the area. Look at the radar made possible by Browns Roofing. Schedule your free roof inspection at brownsroofingla.com, and we have seen rain across Mississippi today. It's just generally stayed east of our area. In fact, as you take a look at the radar out over the I-20 corridor and parts of I-59, you can see some of those afternoon showers bubbling up with the daytime heat. Not really a lot of thunderstorm activity. And this is all generally kind of trapped in the low-level easterly flow along the Gulf coastline. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that spill westward over the next few hours. May give us a brief chance of a shower tonight during the early part of the evening. Temperatures right now back in the low end of the 90s in many spots. Other areas mid to upper 80s. High temperatures so far for the day. Most of us did land in the low end of the 90s at some point through the course of the afternoon. And we'll kind of repeat that process. Although as this ridge of high pressure breaks down a smidge and we get a little weak trough of low pressure to kind of drift back in across the area, I would expect temperatures to maybe drop a degree or two over the next few days. Obviously not going to support a lot of rainfall with dew points in the low 60s and temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but again, dew points are a little bit higher farther eastward, and that's been kind of the case over the last few days. Winds back out of the northeast, probably becoming a little bit more easterly late tonight and through the day tomorrow. Futurecast still advertising the rainfall late tonight, but again, anything that we see would be very, very spotty across the area. And then as we go through the afternoon tomorrow, you get a little bit of daytime heat to fester in with some rising motion in the atmosphere and this kind of easterly pattern or easterly flow at the surface. And that starts to incorporate a little bit more Gulf moisture into the overall pattern, and that could allow for maybe a few spotty showers, maybe even an isolated storm tomorrow. Again, not expecting anything overly aggressive, but it is a slight, subtle tweak change in the forecast. Skies look to clear out as we head toward Friday and into the upcoming weekend. This is something I showed to you midday, and I kind of botched it because I didn't have all the pause points put into the graphic correctly. I got that fixed now, but basically as we go through the afternoon hours today and into the day tomorrow at the surface, or at least in the low levels of the atmosphere, lowest few thousand feet, our winds are going to be back out of the east as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow and through the early half of the weekend. As we set the stage, this is looking at what we call total precipitable water. PWAT is because nobody wants to say precipitable water, and you can't say it 5 times really fast. But it's basically how much how much moisture is in the atmosphere if you wrung it all out from the column of air above you into rainfall and brought it down to the surface. So again, deeper layered moisture, more tropical-like in atmosphere, and deep layered usually brings some heftier rainfall and just better rain chances. As we go into the upcoming weekend, that easterly flow perhaps gets a little bit of a ripple thrown into it, perhaps by a trough of low pressure or a weak area of low pressure that develops across the northern Gulf as it moves westward. By Sunday morning, you start seeing that those deeper amounts of moisture kind of get amplified as the pattern starts to become more tropically induced or moisture-enhanced, moisture-rich across the area. And then as you go into the day on Monday and into Tuesday, you can see that all that moisture is now surged inland. It brings a good chunk of widespread, a kind of a widespread envelope of moisture across portions of the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. Again, this doesn't necessarily point to extreme rain chances, but it is a pattern change. In terms of tropical development, it's possible. We could see maybe a tropical depression or something develop out of this. It would probably be a fairly brief, short-lived system, but it's way too early to speculate on that stuff. But it is the pattern change we're watching as we go into next week that could bring slightly better rain chances into the forecast. Janet, good afternoon. Thanks so much for hopping in. Susie says it's a bit toasty during the day, but loving the cool mornings. It is nice at night. Overnight lows back in the mid to upper 60s, so it's not the 72, 73. You don't think 5 degrees makes a difference, but it does. Keep those small rain chances in overnight as well. A spotty shower or storm can't be ruled out through the day tomorrow, with afternoon highs generally topping out near 90 degrees. But again, as the upper ridge starts to break down a tad, we start to perhaps maybe work some slightly cooler temperatures back in across the forecast. And I say slightly cooler, going from 90 and 91 down to 87, 88. And that also weasels the cloud cover back in. The rain chances have bumped back up. Look at the 7-day forecast made possible by 3B Outdoor Equipment. And most locations are going to deal with at least scattered shower and storm potential Monday, Tuesday. Obviously, the rain chances look to be a little bit higher along the Mississippi Valley. But at this point, we're just kind of watching and waiting to see what those signals along the northern Gulf mean in terms of rain chances. I don't even really want to get bent out of shape about what it means in terms of tropical potential, because that's kind of an afterthought at this point. We'll deal with that as it becomes more of a possibility or more of a reality. But it's really just a matter of pattern change that could foster some slightly better rain chances, because it's starting to get a little dry out there. I know rain total wise and drought condition wise, we kind of panned out okay last week, but we could use some more rainfall. All right, that'll wrap it up for today. Again, not a whole lot to touch on other than those potential changes in the forecast early next week. Your fish and game forecast, made possible by First South Farm Credit, comes out at about 8 o'clock tonight. That'll get you set for tomorrow. And even if you're not a sportsman or sportswoman, that forecast has a lot of handy-dandy information, hour-by-hour forecast that you can follow along with. That comes out at 8 o'clock. I'll join you first thing tomorrow morning with a look at tomorrow's forecast, and maybe something's changed along the way with these rain chances. I'll let you know about that as well. And who knows, maybe the Cubs can stage a late rally, and I'll be in a lot better mood. I'm not in a bad mood now, but you know what I mean. Thanks for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. And as always, you can check your latest forecast and the radar